Thanks for joining us today on the Carolina Justice Report. I'm Rainey Romero with the lovely law firm. Today I'm joined with attorneys Sarah Austin and Amy Lawrence, and we're chatting all about the Murdaugh murders. We are back for another update because it has been the 1 year anniversary. Stay tuned.
So he's got this high-powered blood spatter on his shirt, which means that he was present when at least one was killed.
Yes, and this is new information, and that's kind of like part of the forensic, side of following stuff, which is so cool that you can kind of analyze blood splatter and kind of
because it's like a very fine mist, and this is not you ran up to the body and like touched it or hugged it, or this is not that kind of thing. It's a very, very fine mist, which means you were when it's splattered.
Yep.
Yeah, I think it can only come from like two, if I'm correct, from two ways. Either the wound, like the actual wound splattered on you, or when they were exasperating and actually dying, the blood came out of their mouth. So any way you look at it, if he had that on his shirt, he was there when they died.
Right.
And he says that he wasn't there at all. He just found them already dead. So he's lying.
And on the police call, whenever he called in, the operator was like, don't touch them. If you haven't touched them yet, don't touch them. We need that for evidence. And of course he was like, well, I've already touched them. But if he were to get blood on himself that way, it's a very different blood from gunshot blood splatter. So it's not like he could use that to say,
Right.
I mean, I'm sure he'll try.
So, right. So, but that's big because, he had this whole alibi that he was not there, and he had people backing him up saying, no, he was with his dad or wherever he was. So all of that's interesting.
Looking back on it now with a different, through a different lens, his father had Alzheimer's and was dying of
so
it,
did
right?
his
And dementia.
I think his ironclad alibi was that he took his father to the hospital and then he went to see his mother who has dementia. So I never considered that to be quite ironclad.
Mm-hmm. But the
and we're hearing this also
from somebody else, though.
Well, this whole ironclad alibi is not coming from anybody else except his own attorneys,
right?
Dick Harpootlian and Jim Griffin. And what we've learned throughout this case is that I'm not sure that their word has any merit anymore.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because it's constantly changing,
right?
And it's constantly in conflict with the actual evidence and facts.
And and in their defense, maybe they don't know. There's still so much that's just coming out. I'm sure that Alec is not in there just telling them all the truth. He hasn't told anybody the truth.
And he's still trying to, manifest it in his brain and tell things. So
he's still being sketchy on the jailhouse calls.
Sketchy, yeah. And a couple of things that have recently come out was that Paul's phone has been unlocked, and they have found video on his phone that shows Alec and Maggie talking by the dog kennels where she was
on the night of the murder, right?
The night of the murder. So, people are saying that kind of dispels his alibi as well.
Because he was there, obviously.
And he said he wasn't.
And he said he wasn't there at all.
Alec Murdaugh, a liar? Ever.
No. I just think it says a lot about how much power he had and how much people, I don't know if they're afraid of him or not, the fact that we're a year out from these murders and everything that he's indicted with, the SLED and the state are really making sure that he's guilty before they charge him with anything. Which our clients rarely get that benefit.
Right.
Normally it's charged first and we'll keep putting the case together after you're already in jail and you're indicted on these charges. And so the fact that they haven't even indicted him for these murders and the evidence just keeps coming out kind of shows to me that they're afraid to just charge him and accuse him of these things before they actually have it all proven, which is how it should always be.
Well, there's so many eyes on this case at
this
point. It's such a high profile case. So many people are involved, as far as the public watching it. That everybody's minding their P's and Q's at this point.
Well, this is how an investigation is supposed to be done.
Always.
Right? You're supposed to have every I dotted, every T crossed before you take somebody's liberty away and charge them with a crime. We wish, hope, and pray that every defendant were to get that kind of benefit of a full investigation before charges were brought. And I don't think that's going to make anybody hesitate down the road. I think actually this is probably a great example of what white privilege looks like. Male white privilege in America, and especially in the South.
Just power, I think. I mean, they're afraid to accuse them of anything until they are sure they can prove it. And this, there's enough evidence here to charge any one of our clients they've been charged on less than the evidence they have against
Oh, absolutely.
Alec Murdaugh. And so I just think that speaks volumes to his power in the Murdaugh name still.
Yeah.
The fact that he hasn't been charged
Still.
for it.
Yeah. Agreed. And recently Alec had requested that his jailhouse calls not be released anymore. And that was denied from a federal judge. But, why is that something that he would request? Obviously he doesn't
It's
put
damaging.
stuff out there, but at the same time, I don't know. He knows he's being watched. I mean, he could say stuff on there that helps him in a sense.
He can manipulate the system and chooses not to because he's running a scheme behind bars is what it feels like after you listen to the last stuff.
Yeah, he's using code words and stuff.
Right.
I think it's also just personal calls. I mean, nobody wants their personal calls
True.
leaked to the world. But that's what happens to every other inmate who's in jail. You can FOIA all those calls and they use them against them in court and they can put them on the news. And so Alec Murdaugh should be no different.
Yeah. Held to the same standard and accountability.
And yeah, I'm glad the court found it that way.
Yeah. I'm excited about that order though, because I'm going to get a copy of it and I'm going to start FOIAing some calls.
Yeah.
Use it to our benefit.
Yeah.
Well, folks, obviously you guys want to stay in tune with us. You want to get all the updates, and make sure that you subscribe to our channel so that you can stay updated and get the notifications to watch all these episodes. And we have some other great cases that we chat about as well, other than the Murdaugh murders. But this is ongoing.
And leave us questions. If there's something that you want to know about, leave us some questions. Like and subscribe so we can answer them in the next go round, and we'll dig in and try to figure it out.
Yeah. So moving forward, I like to always ask this at the end. What are we kind of waiting for at this point? What do we want to know next?
Who killed Maggie and Paul?
I feel like you say that at the end of everyone.
I just want them to charge him. I'm ready for him to be charged.
Yeah.
It feels like there's enough here. And if this is what they're releasing in the news, I mean, there's so much more that we don't even know about. So ready for him to be charged, and we're waiting to figure out how Gloria Satterfield died.
Yeah, that'll be an interesting.
I'm also excited to see how this Mallory Beach lawsuit plays out. Because it's super interesting what's going on with Parker's Kitchen. They're filing motions that they have no standing. I mean, it's kind of crazy. So I'm really excited to see how that plays out too.
Well, and we did kind of discuss on the last episode a little bit about Parker's Kitchen and their odd involvement with hiring the investigator and stuff like that. Is there anything new with that?
Well, Alec Murdaugh signed a confession of judgment in the Satterfield case that he was responsible and took money that was not his, of $4.3 million. And everybody was in agreement of that in the case, but somehow Parker's Kitchen's defense attorneys were because they are a creditor of a potential creditor, not a creditor, but a potential creditor, were circulated in that email when everyone was agreeing to it, and they objected to it. And Eric Bland was like, "You have no standing to do so. This is insane."
Yeah.
And we're not gonna play into this game.
Right.
Withdraw your objection. And so it just added a whole nother layer of like craziness to this whole story.
And sort of even commingled all the cases together even more than they are.
Yeah.
Because Gloria Satterfield has nothing really to do with Parker's Kitchen, but now they're even more just
and they're all in there duking it out.
right.
My money's on Eric Bland.
I don't know, Mark Tinsley's
Oh, I do love Mark Tinsley too.
So who are these two?
but
They're attorneys. And Mark Tinsley's doing a great job for the Mallory Beach family. That's who represents them and her estate, and he's
Eric Bland
holding them all
represents-
accountable.
Yeah, and Eric Bland represents Gloria Satterfield, and they're not working against each other, but they're all trying to figure out where the money is.
Yeah.
So they can get their clients compensated. I think they're doing a great job.
They're doing a wonderful job.
Awesome.
I'm proud. And I'm also proud because they're putting the truth out there that no one's, everyone's hesitant to give. And I think that's awesome.
That is great.
Yeah.
Yeah. Man, the tangle web. Well, thank you ladies for chatting about this today. Of course, there's bound to be lots more updates coming up, so make sure you stick with us. Thank you both for chatting about this. And you guys can find us on all of your social media outlets, YouTube, Facebook, Instagram. You can subscribe to our YouTube channel, of course, and we have a podcast, which also is this audio. Thanks so much for watching. Watch next Tuesday at 2 p.m. We'll see you then.
When life gets ugly, justice is lovely. The love